Alrighty, we're back to the TikTok podcast, episode 5. Welcome, Ali, Sydney. We're here at 8 o'clock in the night just to get this podcast shot and get another episode out. So, again, guys, thanks for being here. How's everyone feeling? How's it back to be on the show? Some of you might not recognize Ali looks really, really different. Man's gone through a transformation in a month and he's lost a lot of weight. And he's a new man now. So, Ali, Sydney, welcome back to the show. How's everyone feeling?
Bro, let's not talk about let's talk about watches actually.
What are you guys wearing on the wrist today? Both of you all are rocking hard, big pieces today. Sydney, what do you want on the wrist? Do you even know what you're wearing?
No. All I know is that it's an AP.
Sydney's got an AP Royal Oak 26331 ST on the
By the
wrist.
way,
That's
we
what I
have
did.
another guest called Musa,
Yeah.
who's also on the show. Guys, just say hi to Musa. I'm rocking the Pikachu, one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah, finally Ali managed to get one on the wrist.
What do you mean he got one early also, right?
Yeah,
He got one again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ali being Ali, you know.
Ali being Ali.
Alright, so what do you guys want to talk about today? How do you, just before we start today's topics and stuff like that, what do you guys think of the last episode that we did? Did you all enjoyed? What about the topics? And if you all saw any of the feedback from this thing, what do you all think of the last episode? And what do you want to see more going into this episode?
How about you, Ali? What do you feel?
I thought we judged very well.
Yeah, I believe so.
Very good. We had
Yeah.
a good discussion going on. I think it was fun though. I think we just have to cut it short.
Yeah.
But again, good discussion with the
Agreed. Same.
That's
Like,
it.
I feel like, but Imad went on a rant as usual. But other than that, it was like a solid podcast. Bro. Like it was a nice meetup. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good to know. Alright, so let's get on to discuss some of the topics from this week. And I think the most interesting one that we picked out to start off with for today's episode is the came up the topic for what will watches look like in 2035. So 10 years from today, what do we think that watches might look like, what they might be like, and what we might think of the watch industry.
Okay, so when you say a watch, is it like a wrist piece or
Yes.
like a watch?
What we're wearing, what we talk about, what the podcast is about.
No, the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is a watch, right?
Yeah.
So that's considered as a watch.
Yeah.
If so, I believe in technology, they might shift the entire mobile phone and all of that for hologram, like functioning wrist pieces.
Okay.
That's what I feel like. That's what I want.
Yes, I want you guys to see what you think first,
Hmm.
and then I will come up with my answer after you guys answer that. You guys have a chance.
And 10 years, maybe Patek's going to keep some models the same. He will maintain that. Rolex will do the same. Right? I feel like how Patek took they started shifting everything into precious metals, right? I feel like Rolex might do that as well. Like all the other brands are going to follow their step. And most of these high-end watches are going to be precious metal watches. That's what I feel. Yeah.
interesting stuff.
Yeah. I actually didn't think of that. What do you think?
Well, I think from 10 years from now, especially all the big brands like the Pateks, Rolexes, and the APs are going to continue doing whatever they're doing right now. I don't think nothing is going to change, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just like Zid said, maybe they might move into a more precious metal watches, but
Yeah.
tough to say. But I don't think a lot of things are going to change. It's kind of going to remain the same.
Yeah, that's right.
And they'll play around with material, right?
Yeah.
Even materials, especially this gold, rose gold, and that's platinum, right? Those are some of the big.
The main that we
The
see in
main
mainstream
ones,
brands, yes.
Of course, RMs love to play with
Yeah,
TVs and all of that.
AP as well.
Yeah,
Hublot as well. They're white.
So I think in terms of Apple Watches, again, it's just based on the technology and all of that, right? With AI coming up and stuff, of course, they're probably going to move more into that. But again, I don't actually consider Apple like if you talk about horology pieces. I don't consider that.
No, but definitely they're a part of also now the watch industry, right? Of the
Because
of
quartz movement after all is
the
circuitry.
yeah, that's true. No, but that's I also think the same thing. Like they've been making these watches for 100 years. I don't really think anything is going to change as such. Obviously, like we saw Rolex doing this year with the new escape, and there will be advances in the technology of watchmaking, but I think more they've been doing for 100 and plus years, right? So I don't see what they're going to really change in 10 years to go forward. But like Disney made a really good point with changing materials. Like if you see something like AP brands like Hublot, even other brands like IWs and everybody who have started experimenting with other materials like with like ceramic and stuff. The ceramic has been huge technically in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Before that, no one was really into ceramics in a big way like the brands are now. So maybe 10 years down the line, we might see them using other materials. I see wood in front of me. They start using wood in watches. We never know. But I think other than
You never know. I might do that soon.
I mean, yeah, except for change in material and things like that, I also think it'll be largely the same. But I feel like, especially again looking back at the industry in the last 5 or 10 years, how we've seen a complete resurgence of like micro brands, independent watchmaking, and things like that. There's a huge shift there.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that will also take a bigger stand in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And those will have a little bit more prominence. And,
Exactly. I believe so too.
And
like there are
brands
some mad artisans.
and the ones that started in the last 5 to 10 years, technically in another 10 years, they'll be 20, 25 years old, which will then place them in a very much more powerful position in the watch industry. So, for example, like RM only started 25 years ago in the early 2000s, late 90s, and today they are a powerhouse. So, guys that start now, start in the early 2000s.
Even mad,
Indian. So, all of these guys that we love now as independents might become permanent big house brands in the future. That's cool. But also, yes, Apple Watch and like you said, in 10 years, we might never know, right? We might have those.
Might have some mad tech, all you have to do is like it and
wow. Yeah, so I mean, those things probably will happen, and that will also all be part of it. I don't see how that will deter from the what the traditional watches that we wear.
But do you think that all this watch thing would ever leave your wrist?
I don't think so.
In 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were meant to, it would have in the last 20 years just faded
exactly.
away, right?
Yeah.
When phones started happening, like in the last 5 years,
But-
everyone wears an Apple Watch. But
Bro,
still,
even with a phone, you still need a watch.
technically, you don't.
No, because you don't, bro. Your phone is not all. It's easier to, like, let's say you're driving, it's easier to look at your
You
wrist.
have the clock right in front of you in a car.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, we don't. I mean, that argument is like really old. We don't really need watches anymore.
Oh, but okay, let's say you go diving. Let's say you
You
go
have-
hiking.
You actually get better dive
You
watches.
have a better dive. You have a dive computer. When you go hiking, you wear things like a Garmin, and you use things with satellite. These things to actually track time and the other things that you need.
Okay.
for it.
I think it's just so cool, like going back into the old days of saying, I was wearing a sub
Yeah.
in a dive. But really, you really need it not.
Because again, like you're saying, a dive watch in 1953, the Submariner was the dive computer of the time.
Yeah.
But in today's day and age, obviously, an actual dive computer is the dive watch that you need. But still, a lot of like traditional divers will wear the dive computer on one hand and also have a mechanical watch on the other wrist.
So, but the more interesting question is in 10 years' time, what do you think the size of the watches will be? I mean, of course, we are kind of moving towards smaller ones.
Interesting.
In 10 years' time, do you think people are actually going to revert back to the old 1920s, where people were wearing the small watch?
36, 34.
Yeah, the small one.
Yeah.
Because you kind of come to that ground where it's 40 millimeter watches for guys, right? Whereas women start wearing big watches. Are we moving back? Who knows in 10 years, people start making smaller ones.
Yeah, they might, because when it comes to fashion, what they do is they recycle.
Exactly.
Recycle it when they don't have.
And I think it's actually coming to fashion at the moment, like vintage inspired stuff.
So like the print state looks really nice, and it's like a 36 millimeter watch.
But I even saw at the Met Gala, one of these guys was wearing like literally an AP Royal Oak Mini.
Yeah.
So like the smallest lady, what's this guy? I don't remember who it was, but this was actually wearing it to the Met Gala. So it's definitely.
But
changing
Met
around.
Gala, you always want to stand out in different outfits.
Yeah, but still, if
it's
men
like
are starting to
trendsetters and all.
if they start setting the trend, then you're going to have other people starting to wear it. But that's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I don't think we completely shift back because today's market is so that you can have everything to cater to everybody's needs.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, you might see men starting to be more comfortable wearing smaller watches like 36. Like back in the day, like you said, 36 was the men's size.
It was
Maybe
a
we
nice
go back to
size.
that size in the future. It's it's tough to say. But also on the other side, like I said, women are wearing bigger watches now. Like women are wearing foreign and stuff. So it's actually tough to say, but that'll be really interesting to see how things progress with them. But I don't think we'll see a huge drastic change. Like
In 10 years, no.
difficult to say.
Yeah. Because time passes by like that.
And an interesting thing about this discussion is we all agree on the same point.
That's first. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So, also keeping on with the same theme of how time has changed the industry and has changed collecting and wearing and all of that. Another very interesting topic is why today's generation, today's collectors buy or wear a watch. Is it because of hype or history? Again, Diluka's terminology.
That's a good question. And Ali, what do you think?
So when we talk about today's generation, we talk about millennials,
Gen Z.
Most right? Yes, but also today's generation of collectors. Let's say, okay, I guess we would be included in that, but also more focused on like the newer, younger.
Exactly. So I talk about the young,
the 20-year-olds that are just
right?
now entering, collecting watches and stuff like that.
So my opinion with the whole thing is, right, again, I think social media has played a huge role, right?
Yeah.
And I think right now, because of the knowledge of the internet and all of that stuff, information is on their fingertips, right? I mean, I'm sure back in the day when people really want to know about watches and stuff, they probably walk into an AD
or in magazines
and stuff. And again, right, it was quite different back then. Whereas today, it's just you just go on the internet, do a bit of a search, you know about all the mechanical movements, all of that. An interesting fact is also, guys, like I have actually spoken to some very young collectors, and those guys have so much knowledge.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? I mean, again, like so much knowledge.
A few.
Very
few ones that are interesting.
I'm not serious, like people who are watch collectors, right? And those guys are like 19-20-year-olds. They have so much knowledge about all the different ones. The young, the watches that are not that expensive, but they know everything about that.
That's true.
So I think, of course, you get the two types, right? One is based on the hype, but one who are actually real collectors who are starting out. And I think still watches bring that old classic look. Something that men want to carry out. Right? I mean, there's nothing that men can wear in terms of jewelry. I think watches is one of the accessories that kind of goes with the most. But that doesn't. Still watches. So I think you get two groups of people, but again, some of these guys are brilliant. They are serious watch collectors. Maybe they don't have the most expensive pieces, but they have a nice watch collection.
And plus, they have a lot of information and time. And once they get hooked on it at a young age, like the knowledge they have is way vast and
100%, man. Because information is at their fingertips, right? Like even anything, just go online, they do a search, they know what exactly.
I mean, I guess we all collected or started collecting watches in the age of the internet. But I know distinctly when I started collecting back, 7-8 years ago, Cartier and Revolution magazine and maybe Time and Tide in Australia were the three publications that most people refer to in terms of getting information on watches online. Today, like back then, Instagram on watches wasn't that big, but today probably you have each region probably has like 20 different publications talking about watches. Even if you look at the dynamic change in how the watch fairs now operate, more prominence is given to watch publications and watch influencers rather than traditional media or like even people in the industry. So definitely the focus of the industry is also to give out information through social media and through the internet rather than the old ways of giving out information through like press conferences and like old school stuff where it's very slow print. Like you don't even see hardly any of these guys going out on print media.
Not anymore. Like Rolex used to do that back in the day. I used to say about why a submarine exists. Whereas these days I don't think you really see.
And you don't even see them. A lot of these brands don't even do their own, in my opinion.
They do things, but it's not on paper.
No, but you don't see any of these guys doing their own advertising. Like the internet by itself does the marketing for all of these brands. Rolex will come up with a watch. Yes, they'll have their campaign on their website, but other than that, you don't see them going out and actively trying to sell a watch to any of their clients.
They don't have to do. The foundation is
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't really matter. So that's how it has changed completely. Where the brands themselves don't have to do the marketing; they just put it out to the world, and the internet does the job for them.
No, because they've already built that brand,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
That brand affinity and that thing is already there with the
But I don't think for a lot of the brands, it's just a matter of having a good, obviously having a good product, but just how you release it to the world. Then if it's hype, then it just gets carried.
But
right?
they might redo it if some other brand starts taking over.
In the sense,
Like let's say like these new artisans with
Yeah.
watchmakers. If they get more attention, they might have to get back into the marketing game.
But I
But
don't
at the
think
moment,
the
since they're
artisan guys
dominating the
really
market.
want that, man. Because
Yeah.
artisans are always kind of focused on making a few watches, and that's
But that's because
one of their core DNA.
but they still want to get recognition for their brand and around the
They
world.
do,
right?
bro. But I
Anybody
think
wants to recognize the work that they're doing.
they do 100%. But I think still that their core DNA is about producing less watches and maybe selling it to a few, right? Because a
Yeah.
few of these independents, even if you want one,
Yeah, you can't.
you can't get it.
You
They'll
can't.
just say you can't because
Like
that's what it is.
Meme is not that. I mean,
But I'm just saying,
yeah,
meme,
just-
still.
yeah, you still can't get a meme.
Still,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not like out there.
Yeah.
Imadas to look. You still have to wait for a long time, like
Yeah,
6 months or
to a
6
year.
months to a
When I
year.
got it was a year. Now I think
Yeah.
it's about 6 months. But yeah, that's interesting. But one thing that I wanted to tie it to is that yes, it is. You find that most guys now follow the hype, obviously because of social media and stuff like that. And you think that some guys follow the history, but to an extent, with some of the young collectors that I've spoken to, I feel like in today's generation, following history has also become a hype.
Yeah.
Don't you think that?
Yeah.
So I feel like that just gets tied and jumbled at the same time as well. Like, yeah, some of these guys want to follow the history, but they're like, oh, yeah, the other people also follow the history, so I should also follow the history. Like, I have found people that come to me and buy the same watches that I started with because I know I got some information like back then, and they are following the same information. Like, they see, for example, the Rolex Explorer. When I started collecting, it was a watch that nobody knew about, and it was starting to be spoken about a lot.
History is like a very important part in beauty.
Yeah.
So
But what I'm saying
if
is,
you
I
get
feel
into
like
it, you
the
need to
younger
get into it.
generation, the younger generation now likes to go with vintage and
Yeah.
older stuff. So I feel like following history and heritage of watches
Yeah.
is also part hype right now. It's not that
It is.
sometimes you don't go and find your own identity, but you
Yeah.
just follow the hype of this.
I
Back
think
in
it
the
also depends on the region, right? Like, so
Yeah.
if you think about a place like Maya,
Yeah.
people are going for the flashy things,
Yeah.
the RMs and
Yeah.
WZs, and
Yeah.
they want. But whereas if you actually go to a different region,
Yeah, true.
it
Obviously,
changes.
the region makes
It depends on
It
where
does
the people are, right?
But even the vintage market is jacked up now, man, because of the hype.
True.
Right? Back in the day, we like in
So
Sri
don't
Lanka.
give your prices now.
Okay, no.
please.
But
700
on a
rupees.
on a serious note,
Yeah.
right? Seikos, like Seiko 5.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I was able to acquire watches for like $1,000.
Yeah.
Now the same watch is about $10,000.
That is correct. That is one fair this thing by Zippy for once now.
Yeah.
Seiko, again, the hype for Seiko in the last 10 years has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
10 years ago, Seiko 5s, nobody knew about them. Seiko SKX was a big thing for starting collectors. That is all that was there, and then Grand Seiko.
No,
Nobody
bro,
knows
Seiko
Seiko.
has always been a good watch, right? So back in the day, I'm assuming when he was trying to sell it, people would have taken the watch and been like, "Oh, it's an old watch."
Yeah, and
Whereas
it's a Seiko.
nowadays, bro, it's not right. Because it's a Seiko.
It's a vintage watch. It's
Yeah.
not an old watch
Yeah.
anymore.
Exactly. It's a vintage piece,
Yeah.
right? People go, oh, it's a vintage piece. Sure, a lot of the information they would have got it through social media and all that's available. So clearly, I mean, there's more demand, right?
Yeah.
So again, I think nowadays information is so easy.
Yeah, so basically the conclusion is that hype and history are both tied together, right?
Yes, 100%.
Alright, so doing another quick pivot.
Okay.
I think this is probably my favorite topic from today's discussion. Is the one watch that you feel that got away? Either you had this watch and it sold, or you had it and you sold it and you wish you hadn't. I know Ali will have a lot of those stories. But let's start with Sydney for this.
Yeah, let's do that.
Don't give us a hell of a story from 10 years ago that somebody offered you what for 300 rupees. But like an actual this thing, why did something had to be sold?
I did have like a vintage Hamilton khaki field that looked really good.
And that's your biggest regret. Or miss, rather.
Oh no, I missed my Omega Dynamic as well. I gave it to a friend and he has lost it. Yeah, but that was a mod,
Oh,
right? It was, you know, the square dynamic?
the oval shape one, right?
Yeah, with a racing dial.
Okay.
And yeah, it looked really nice.
That's-
And I gave it to a friend and he has lost it. So I regret giving watches to friends.
I never do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Never give watches to your
yeah. Not even.
What do you mean not even for me? I'm very careful with watches, bro.
What about you, Ali?
Well, the thing is, of course,
Long list, no?
no, again, the thing is, every watch that I've sold or bought, right? And whenever I sold it, I have no regrets about it. Right? Because, of course, ultimately it's just a watch.
Yeah.
But in terms of the one watch that I think that got away, I still remember, has been a classic Rolex Chili.
The one, the first one that we sold back then in like what, 2021.
I
The
think
rose gold with the moon
the
face.
rose gold with the moon. I think that's one of the watches I feel really did. First of all, of course, like the watch is such a beautiful
Yeah,
watch,
definitely.
right? A great piece. That watch I still, when I see it on someone's wrist, I kind of go back to the watch that I had. The watch that I actually sold.
Yeah. Interesting.
How about you, man?
For me, the one, I mean, again, I buy and sell a lot of watches, right? But it's like slightly off topic, but personal. Like my uncle passed away, died in 2003, right? And one of the guys that dove with him was a dive master, and he wore a Rolex Submariner during that dive.
Okay.
Last year, this watch came up for sale in Sri Lanka.
That same watch.
The watch that guy wore while he was diving with my uncle, and I wanted to buy it. I went, I saw the watch. I needed some time to think about it, and I made an offer on the watch. And by the time I could go back to get the watch had already sold. That is one watch that I really, really wish. It wasn't that expensive, also. It was nice. I think 5513 reference or
So
something
there
like
you
that.
go, boys. If you find it like a
5530,
really good
that was
watch,
like a classic vintage
Yeah.
piece.
Yes, this is, no, not no, 16800 or 168.
What was the 16610?
No, it was much older. 16880 or 16800 actually. Yeah, right. So, what's he saying?
see, I was telling the people watching, right? If you find a good watch that you like, do not lowball.
Yeah, no, I didn't lowball. It's just that I wasn't 100% sure about like the history of it. But yeah, so that Rolex China is one that I really regret not getting.
So who has it now? Who has
I
the
know
watch?
some private collector bought it.
Shall we talk about the private collectors in Sri Lanka? That will be very, very interesting. Who has the biggest collection, man?
I know you keep trying to ask me that every time. I
You
keep
kill
saying
me.
I don't know. And
Don't lie.
I decline to answer.
Do you know any private collectors?
I know.
Okay, in the world, who's the biggest private collector?
In the world.
Yeah, I know.
Who?
Bro, the Ambanis.
Oh yeah, I think they have very.
They have like he has like a mad collection.
You mean the guy who just got married recently?
Yeah, they are this guy. Yeah, I watched some videos where like somebody says that he has like so many piece uniques and so many actually unique pieces
Yeah.
that nobody else
You
has.
got that dude, that shade too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Khalid.
Khalid. And
Yeah.
okay, so that's India, right? US, who do you think is the biggest like collector?
Very good. Most biggest collectors in the world must have we won't even know.
And they will be so low key.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys who show
Actually, you know what? I'll mark my words. One of the biggest up and coming collectors in the US now, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
He has
I
gone
agree.
batshit crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
He's going nuts.
and he's buying some mad unique pieces.
He's buying some crazy pieces, and I think he's just getting started.
I saw some pictures online.
Yeah. And it's just in the this is actually, it also, like, coincidentally happened after the wedding. There's a video of, Anand Ambani.
And he's showing his watch and
Yeah.
all, and then
Yeah,
he's
I think he got that.
He got that
through
listing.
Ambani.
And some of his watches are so low key but so expensive, right?
Crazy. So, yeah, he has some normal watches, but he's going like next, like straight away billionaire flex. I'm buying whatever I want, but also tastefully buying whatever the hell
What
I
do you all
want.
think about producer Mike?
Yeah.
Wait, don't say that. He's a nice guy.
No, that's horrible, man. That guy is just always looking for the free views,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not really.
But he has like
A guy who I really like, one of the collections I really like is the guy, the editor in chief of that guy. I don't know his name. The guy who
Now?
actually
Oh,
is he the previous
before Jack Forrester.
the guy who actually I mean he interviewed John Mayer also the guy does class. Editor in chief or maybe the guy who actually owns the thing.
Oh, Ben Klein.
Ben Klein.
Oh, he's the owner of it.
The owner.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of the most prominent
Ben
watch
Klein.
journalists and collectors in the world right now. Man, they live in a different.
And that
different
collection
world
has
of-
meaning, like every single amazing collection, man.
Yeah.
Check it out. Super collection.
I should have.
But there is not
Yeah.
one proper video online of his entire watch collection. Like there is only one on Houdinki where he does like a very brief one, but nobody really knows. I mean, actually, I don't know. I haven't found anything online for all of the watches that he owns. So
Ed Sheeran has a good collection too.
yeah,
Bad
Yeah.
collection.
and John May as well. Speaking of him,
Oh, I have another good question.
please.
What's your favorite Hublot?
My favorite Hublot.
Yeah, what's your favorite Hublot?
What if I don't have
Honestly, bro, I mean the Big Bang is quite good.
Yeah,
The Big Bang in the blue dial.
I mean,
That's a
if
decent one.
if the- I
The Big
mean,
Bang with the
I'm
blue
not the
dial.
biggest fan of Hublot, but the Richard Olinsky models are pretty good. We sold a few of those. I feel like those are one of the few that fit me in terms of sizing and stuff like that.
Oh,
What about you?
I like the La Ferrari. It looks nice.
La Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, but I guess, again, in terms of watchmaking and engineering, really, really good watches.
Yeah.
But just huge and humongous. And,
No, but it still looks cool.
yeah,
They've like deviated from the usual shape.
yeah.
And that's exactly why I like MBNF, bro.
I mean, MB, are you
They
putting
have-
MBNF and Hublot in the same class?
Not in the same class, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about shape and all of that. Even they do some funky designs.
You were an MBNF, right? Like that orange one, right? I was an
No, that is
MBNF.
over.
Ah, over.
I lost so much money on that watch.
Yeah.
I really had the watch and I was like, what is this? It's like,
Ibad, I have a good question for you.
I'm the host, but
Yeah. Okay, so what's the biggest amount that you've lost on a watch?
personal here. Getting
Yeah.
personal.
Lost a lot of money. I think the over was one of our biggest losses.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was one of your biggest losses?
On a single watch.
On a single watch. Yeah.
That was like what? Like a crazy amount, right?
But that was a nice watch. Beautiful watch.
Yeah, that is Sri Lanka, man. So tough to move.
Yeah.
So basically, I lost half the value of that watch.
Oh.
I think yeah, you had that for a while too.
But see, again, in 10 years, I feel like the Lankan market could be better.
But the thing is, also those watches are expensive, right? It's in the 20 million plus price point.
But still, I feel like Sri Lanka, there's a lot of people are quite smart, right?
Except for you.
Except,
But I think Sri Lankan market still, bro, a lot of people just want the hype as well.
yeah.
Like
And
someone
also
talking
one-
about-
But now they're learning.
No, but another very important fact is that because now we've tried to introduce a lot more like independent and like not generic coaches, Parmesanis and stuff that we're trying to sell now. Even if a client actually has an interest in it, the lack of after sales support that we have in Sri Lanka is a huge deterrent as well. If you're in any other part of the world, if you buy an independent brand, you always have somewhere to go to for after sales. But in this case, if for example, if a client buys something like Parmesani or something like a Moser or any of these independent listings, obviously they can come to us for after sales. We'll always take care of them. But you always, you don't have the brand to go back to. Yes, AP protection, all is the same issue, but okay, you can fly to Singapore, Dubai, and sort it out. But when it comes to something like an independent brand, they are very scared as to who they can go to for help if there's anything wrong with what if anything needs to be done. So it's 80% yes, us going after the hype, but also 20% that we don't have the required after sales and the infrastructure to support people buying independent.
Okay, Ima, I had another question. Sorry for asking too many
Yes,
questions,
yes.
right? For Sri Lankans, if they want to take their watch somewhere, right?
Okay.
Fair to repair
Yeah.
it, what's your advice?
Why do you want to take your just repair it?
Let's say they've like they want a service. Or
That's a good question,
Yeah.
actually. That's
Yeah.
actually
Who
a
are
very
the
good
watchmakers in Sri Lanka that you would recommend, or where would you take?
It depends on what the brand is and
Yeah.
what kind of a watch it is, how complicated. It's
Mhm.
something like a Rolex, Omega in that category,
Yeah.
especially and if it's like a time only or something, maybe like a chronograph. That's not a very complicated watch. There are very, very talented watchmakers in Sri Lanka that can help you out.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about high complications like picking tourbillons and things like that, then yes, you probably can't get it done in Sri Lanka.
Better not open it here.
Yeah.
Never
Then
open that shit here.
Singapore, I think, in my opinion, is the
Yeah.
best because obviously they have every single brand,
Hmm.
so that you might, the watch might be, and you can go directly to the companies, but also again third-party watchmakers that are really, really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes even better than the brand itself
Yeah.
on working on these watches.
I've seen this dude on like TikTok. He like disassembles a watch and he puts it back
Singapore,
together.
from Singapore.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
like Asian.
So chronograph, all of those are okay.
Up to a normal chronograph, unless it's again like something like a split second chronograph and
Right.
stuff can be a little tricky. That's a high frequency movement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's little difficult to work on.
5,000.
Hertz or something like that. Yeah. So on that the chronograph is sticky a bit, and we are not able to get it done in Sri Lanka comprehensively. That will have to get sent over. to
Actually,
the
that's what is it that makes sense.
Why?
Actually, like, yeah.
I know.
People will be very hesitant to buy a watch if they don't get that
Exactly.
service.
But then again, though, a watch like a proper watch, you don't have to service it.
But anything can go wrong as well, right? It's a mechanical thing.
Mechanical
So you drop the
things.
watch or something happens.
Because people will always be like, oh, I was sent it to Singapore,
Yeah.
I don't know all the hassle.
Exactly.
And also, you need to like. There are some watches like let's say a Glasu or whatever. Like I've seen those. Have you seen watches under like a microscope?
Yeah.
So it's like those high-end watches. It's like dust-free.
Yeah.
So what I
You've got to
believe is
work
you
in-
need to
yeah,
work in
there
an environment where like zero
Yeah.
dust and all of that.
So that's what the good watchmakers in Sri Lanka also follow all of those same
Yeah.
protocols.
Who are the good watchmakers in Sri Lanka?
A lot of these guys don't want to be known public. You've got to know somebody to know these guys. That is one problem, sort of, because again they don't want everybody to know,
Hmm.
the private work that they're doing. and
Why
stuff.
though?
Because they
It's
work
that
for
business.
Because even Sydney knows a few, right? They work for some companies and they also do their own work.
Yes.
Right.
But
It's like
also-
freelance work.
Yeah. But also the thing is that the good guys have been doing it for the last 20, 30 years. So their clients are people that are referred to them only. They don't really go out to public for
And they're
work.
busy, they have been
They are, man.
Yeah, really.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we also get our work done with guys. They're really, really good guys. They have worked on some high-end protect. Like I've had our watchmaker work
And
on
also,
some
I'm
work for
with
us.
you. I wouldn't want to like leak that information as well, because the more people get to know him, the later.
No, but also in the watch.
True story.
In the watch industry, not only in Sri Lanka but all over the world, it's a well-known this thing that your watchmaker is it's like your secret this thing. You don't share, not only in Sri Lanka, like I said, even overseas, a lot of people don't want to share who their watchmaker is because it's like your, somebody you keep, it's like private this thing that only you know and you have access to. It's not for selfish reasons, it's just that, if you have something, you don't really want to show it to the world, you want to keep it to
Of course.
yourself and
As Zidni said, you don't want to
Oh,
share it.
load them up with work, bro. Yeah.
that is that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hublot, we were thinking of doing a comparison between what?
He's calling you good. Yeah, I don't know.
Just because this is Hublot, this thing is really cool.
I am, man. Yeah.
Just comparison between few of these brands like Hublot versus something like AP wouldn't be really that Hublot versus Zenith, Omega versus Cartier. Let's not talk about Tudor in this discussion.
Yeah.
But
No, but I love.
oh my God,
Bro, I need to bring up Tudor again, bro.
I love the watch.
I can't
think you all have
believe
taken
what
it
Tudor
the
is.
wrong
Let's
way
just-
much.
let's just skip
Bro,
that.
Tudor is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
So
bad
Tudor
word.
topic rubbed you in the wrong way.
No,
Tudor is a bad word in this
Okay.
episode.
Let's cut
I
that
love
discussion.
Tudor, right?
Let's cut the discussion and
Okay.
the other topic that we had.
Okay,
of,
go ahead.
a small game for the first watch that comes to your mind so we'll go with three price brackets: $5,000, $10,000, and $50,000. So I gave you $5,000 today. What's the first watch that you would go
Grand
for?
Seiko.
Which one?
I don't know, grand sale. That I'll have to decide when I go there.
Yeah, but $5,000 can't get you a lot of brands.
I know.
Okay, $10,000. Quick, rapid fire.
A Cartier. Sandals.
Nice. $50,000.
$50,000, I would go with a MB.
You can't get it.
That's why we're not talking about it. I'm talking about vintage brand.
Anything that you want.
Okay.
$50,000.
Very tough.
Five.
Choice.
4,
A
3,
Rolex.
2.
Rolex, no.
No, I don't want to go with a Rolex, but you're like
You
hurrying.
can get an AP, no, bro. You can rock an AP.
Yeah, it is.
It's a Rolex.
Do you think I can go with a Patek? I'll go with a Patek.
Yeah.
I'll go with a Patek.
Which one?
$50,000.
You can get a, what you can get. It's my favorite one.
You can't get your
You can't.
5164, no chance, bro.
No, 5 and
A
6.
color, like a really nice Calatra.
Aquanaut.
Wait.
Like a really good Calatra. Yeah.
Bro, 50,000 if you're getting at retail, that's a 50,000 more.
No, we're not talking retail, we're talking market price.
Okay, so that's a different story.
Yeah.
So this is, we are talking about market prices.
Yeah, like today, if I gave you cash to go and buy this, what will you buy it with?
But if I could get it at retail, that would be the one.
Okay, what 5,000? What's your watch?
$5,000.
Ali's not in that price bracket.
Yeah,
He shouts too much.
No,
Let's start off with 10,000, 50,000, and 150.
No, we start with 5,000. I'm just thinking, if we think, so for 5,000, bro, I think I'll probably rock an Omega Seamaster.
Not a Tudor, bro. What the hell?
Omega Seamaster. Bro, what's wrong with Omega, bro? It's a man good one as well. No?
You
And he said that we are not going to
That's
talk about
the big
Tudor. He said we are not going to be talking about Tudor, bro.
Okay.
And Omega Seamaster.
$10,000.
So what's wrong with the
No,
Omega
that's not. I
Seamaster?
thought you go with Tudor. That's what
It's a
it
bloody
is.
beautiful
No,
watch. Yeah.
So for 10,000, bro, I'll probably go with the old reference GMT Master 2. The old reference.
Just above 10,000, but actually good choice. Really good choice.
Right? That's that kind of quality.
Yeah. 50,000.
For 50,000, I don't know what is that 50,000.
50,000 on the rather.
Alam?
I think he'd go with something that he's already wearing.
Yeah.
No, definitely, yeah, probably.
Yeah. I think go with the noise space.
How about you? 5,000.
5,000. I mean, I have to say Tudor Black Bay 54. I love that watch.
Okay.
I did, and I feel like I really miss that watch. $10,000. I mean, for me, this keeps changing every month.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm really loving this. The Wimbledon 36 1262
You think that I can sell it?
No, it's right at $10,000, and I think it's a day just for $10,000. I think it's really cool.
And that's a cool one too.
Yeah,
I
I
love
think
the
it's
size.
really
Actually,
nice.
actually, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
And for $50,000 in again another watch that's on my mind recently is the AP 26315 ST. So it's a 38mm, same as this chronograph with a white dial and blue sub dial. So
You
that's
had that button, right?
yeah. So that's a watch that's been on my mind a lot as of late. So I think that's
I
what
mean, you
I'd
had
go
it
for.
like once or twice. And you actually sold it to one of my good friends also.
multiple times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of my good friends also.
Yeah. I think everyone's feeling really drained that it's late in the night. What do you say we wrap it up, guys?
Yeah.
I think we had some interesting conversations, not something too controversial as it got us in trouble.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Anunnaki watch also, but let's keep it for the next.
Let's do it for the next one. Alright, so let's wrap it up with that. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us yet again on another episode of the TikTok podcast. Like we always say, guys, please like, share, subscribe, but also share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what else we can talk about, and really help us get this podcast out into the public a lot more. Share with your friends, family, girlfriends, exes, everybody's, and yeah, we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Jai Veva.